your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We're a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even dive back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in Kate. Kate, good to see you this evening.
Good to see you too. How are you?
Can't complain. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Can't complain. It's very hot here in Florida, but you know, such is life.
I mean, it's not February. It's not November to February. Of course, it's hot in Florida.
Right.
Next,
Correct.
we've got Pete. Pete, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. It's only slightly hot here.
Okay, what's slightly hot?
83.
Okay, we just lost Pete. Sorry. No. How is 83 slightly? Yeah, no.
I consider anything above 80 hot to me.
Well,
I would agree with that. It's warm. I would agree
Yeah.
with that.
All right. And
Slightly
last
hot.
but not least,
Yeah, okay, you want to call it.
not
warm.
really wanting to know exactly the temperature in Northeast Washington. Steve, how are you today?
Actually, it's hot here as well. We're above 80, which is hot for us. And it's supposed to be even hotter tomorrow. So
Now, the key question for you, Steve, and you, Pete. Do you guys have central air?
Oh, yeah.
no. Air conditioning? What's that?
Something that I would have to have, otherwise I would be killing people left and right. I mean, I don't care if I have to use it for 3 days a year.
Yeah.
I'm installing central air conditioning in a house anywhere. It's like all these people, oh, we're in Colorado. I have some friends in Colorado Springs. Oh, we're in Colorado. You don't need air conditioning. No. It gets up into the 90s in the summer.
I can't even fathom not having air conditioning. But then again, I don't even turn on our heater in the winter.
That's fair.
We don't turn on our heater, which I'm sure Pete's like, who lives, and Steve are both like, what do you mean you don't turn on your heater, Kate? So I kind of get it. It's just the opposite.
Yeah, fair enough. Wait, guys, if you have not already, please like, subscribe, share. That way you're on top of every episode that we do. And we've got some fun ones coming up. So today, it is the 20th anniversary of the release of Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. This was the first Pirates movie with Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, and it's the one where they had, with the stolen Aztec gold and the medallion, and the pirates turn into ghosts when they get in the moonlight. It's the movie that everybody knows and has so many of the great ride references. So many great ride references. So, Pete, I'm going to start with you on this one. What about this movie still makes it a treasure?
So I remember when this movie came out, and I never had a problem with the idea that, oh, they made a movie out of a ride, but there hadn't been a good pirate movie since like Captain Blood, in like 1940, whatever.
Very true. Yeah.
So this was the first, we had a pirate movie coming out, and it was like, oh, I don't know, is this going to work? And it worked gangbusters, and this one still works gangbusters. It's a good story and a good adventure yarn. What Johnny Depp's doing in this movie should not work, but it totally does. If you just like take it out of the movie and like look at how he's acting, you're like, oh man, it's just weird, but it works in the movie. The story is good. The movie's fairly tight. It's a little bit draggy in the middle when they're going back and forth between the Aztec gold and back. But unlike the sequels, it's probably the right length. And one thing I remember at the time when this came out, 2003, we still didn't have consistently good special effects in movies.
Correct.
And this movie came out and it was like, wow, this is really solid. The way they did the skeleton pirates coming out, when they would come out of the shadow into the moonlight and everything like that. Just really well done. And it still holds up pretty well. There's a little bit of hinkiness to it, but considering 20 years ago, as I said, how bad some special effects still were at that time. Yeah, the movie really, I don't know, it really holds up well. I think it does. If you take away if I'm going to complain about things, it's everything after. So what about you, Steve? Anything that I didn't mention you can think of that you still
I think, like you said, the performance by Johnny Depp was at the time sort of a standout, considering he wasn't really supposed to be the star. I also liked Jeffrey Rush, so Captain Barbosa. His performance was perfect. I was doing a little reading this morning and how they talked about how they had the three sort of type of pirates. So if you look at Captain Barbosa was one sort of the traditional pirate that you think of. You had Captain Sparrow, which was a different one, and then Will, which is sort of a more Errol Flynn. So it was interesting how they took those three types and meshed them together and made it work in the story. Like you, Pete, the special effects at the time were outstanding. They still, for the most part, hold up today. Of not where you're sitting there going, it was too distracting this morning when I was watching. A good, great action movie. I liked the references, like you said, Derek, to the ride. So if you're a fan of the ride, you notice those nice little references and played off of that. Derek, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Johnny Depp. Can we talk about like possibly the greatest introduction scene of a character ever? That introduction shot where he's coming in on the boat. And then he looks down, you see it's like 3/4 underwater already. And so, oh, shoot. So there's that. Again, especially in the first 30 minutes or so, all the references to the ride. One I caught was when the Interceptor and the Black Pearl are having their cannon battle back and forth. It's, fire the cannons, ye cockroaches, or whatever. The line directly from the ride. It's just kind of stuck in there. That if you don't know it's from it, you don't get it, type thing. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we watched this was such a great movie, especially for its time, especially when you consider the original Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie came out the same year.
Wow. I didn't realize that was the same year.
Wow. Also the same year as Return of the King for Lord of the Rings and Finding Nemo.
Yep, wow. Good year for Jeffrey Rush.
Yes,
he was in that too.
And Orlando Bloom.
Wow.
Right, because he was in Return of the King.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Which is actually part of the reason they cast him in this is because he was supposed to be the star. He was supposed to be the main male character that everyone remembered was the Orlando Bloom. They were going off of his name. Wow. Versus Johnny Depp. I mean, to see him in anything that's not a Tim Burton movie.
Right.
So, Kate, what else worked for you?
I mean, you all pretty much said everything I was going to say. This movie's a classic. I remember where I was the first time I saw this movie. It had just come to DVD. And I was a sophomore in high school, and we were watching it on a giant screen, like a projector screen or whatever, in the band room of the high school. And I didn't know much about it. And then when the scene happens that, in my opinion, especially for its time, was just cinematic gold, when they do go and all of the pirates turn into the skeletons, except when they're like, it scared the tar out of me. And I will just never forget the line that Barbosa says when he says, "You best start believing in ghost stories, darling. You're in one." And that line always stuck with me. The monkey, I loved the monkey in that scene. But anyway, so I think this movie for sure held up. The casting was perfect. Everyone from Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, but everybody down to like Gibbs, how Gibbs was cast, and some of the pirates, like the pirate with the eye, and like just the casting, Barbosa. The casting was so perfect that it just made you fall in love and believe the story. Yes, there were absolutely parts that dragged, and we'll talk about that. But my God, it was so good. And the other great thing about this franchise is I feel like, I guess I can only speak for like the first 3, but the sequels, I'm only going to talk about the first 2 to 3, were actually also very good. Normally a sequel is like, but I felt like
very good, maybe stretching it.
The sequels were also good. Casey and I were talking about this, and he was like, because after we watched it, we were talking about it. And he said, I think this is one of the greatest pirate movies of all time, the first one. And I said, I would agree with that. And then we were trying to name other pirate movies other than like Peter Pan. And we struggled.
But none of them are good.
Yeah. But
Treasure Island?
Yeah, this was one of
Pirate
the greatest pirate movies of all time. So good. Perfect blend of comedy and action and suspense. I mean, Johnny Depp's, no matter how you feel about Johnny Depp, his comedic timing and his physical comedy in this movie, unmatched. Just great. I could go on about how great this movie is. I think it is phenomenal. So I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, and I want to hit on what Steve said about Jeffrey Rush though, because like he was so good that they killed him at the end of it, yet they brought him back for 3 more movies.
Yeah. Yep.
And like textbook scenery chewing. He is chewing the scenery like so generic, so like piratey, just exact like, but damn, it works.
Okay, it's the point of when it was there was the scene where it was he and the monkey and Keira Knightley. He always made sure he was on the left-hand side of the screen because even subconsciously, our eyes are used to going left to right. Because he knew if he was over on the right-hand side of the screen, no one would look at him. It would all be Keira Knightley and the monkey. At least that way they had to glance past him.
Wow. That's so good. That's so genius. Oh.
That's so scenery. I mean, that's so a man who knows how to draw the attention of the audience to himself. Yeah. Probably the best of this was an actress by the name of Mary Wicks, who she was the voice of one of the gargoyles in Hunchback of Notre Dame, but she was the housekeeper in White Christmas. She was one of the gals in one of the townspeople in The Music Man. But whatever movie she was in, like she always had a little handkerchief or something, just because that little flash of white, your eyes would pull to her.
Smart.
And so, yeah.
Very smart.
Okay, now, as we've kind of alluded to, not everything about this movie was perfect. This is not a perfect movie. Steve, what for you about this movie is worst?
First, it was a little long. The story was a little long. I feel like they could shorten it and still have a really good movie. The other thing is supposedly the love connection between Will and Elizabeth. I did not really feel it until the very end. So, and I know it was supposed to be about their love story. I'd say that was a weakness. I feel like there was much more chemistry when you had Johnny Depp or Jeffrey Rush on the screen of the characters playing off of each other. Those are really my 2 big things. Some of the battle scenes, this would be like for you, Derek, Marvel, a little bit too long. Like, okay, nice, the battle's going on. Let's get on with the story. I would say those were the biggest things that I came out. Like, I had to remind myself this was supposed to be a love story between Elizabeth and Will until I watched it again this morning and went, oh, I don't
And do
really
you know why
feel
it
that.
didn't work? You know why it didn't work? She was 16.
What?
Uh-huh. When
Okay,
she
so
did this movie, this was basically her first big movie. She was 16 when she did this movie.
yeah, that would make sense.
I think she was very young. I thought she was like 17 or 18, but yeah.
She was 18 when it came out. She was 16 when they filmed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe that's it. Guess that that life experience that is there is that you could pull from that when you're acting. So yeah. What about you, Derek?
I would agree. It was too long, especially the middle was too long. And as Pete, you said, the whole going to the gold and then back and then gold and then back. It was just one of those get to it already type thing. It was a case of I don't really have complaints about the visual effects, except for the scenes where it's all pirate skeletons. And again, that's more of a today looking back at it 20 years ago type thing. But I mean, for me, the biggest thing is there are spots where it definitely drags. To the point of being a distraction and making me lose interest. Now 20 years ago, when I was, much younger and weren't used to all the big battle scenes and weren't used to all the big special effects, I probably would have rated this movie higher than I'm going to here in just a little bit. But to me right now, it was just too darn long. It was 140 minutes, could have been 120. So, Kate?
Yeah, echoing the same thing. It was just a little bit long. There were parts, not a lot, but there were parts toward the middle where it was just kind of like, okay, like, all right, the back and forth. Okay, like, let's keep moving forward. And that's really my biggest. I felt like a lot of the CGI held up over time. But it did drag a little bit. Not a lot. Not as bad as some movies we've watched.
No.
Not as bad as some
movies we've watched recently.
Yeah, agreed. But it was good. It was just a little long. Yeah.
Pete?
Pete.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I liked all of the cast. I think Orlando Bloom is a bit of a weak link in that he's just kind of, I realize the character is a goody two shoes or whatever, but I just think he's kind of just bland as a character and as an actor. I don't think he's basically done
he's done this and
Legolas,
Lord of the Rings.
and Will Turner and everything else he's been in. He's just not very memorable to me. And so I would argue he, if anything, was the one miscast in this. I mean, he's fine, but he's not great, and everybody else is great. Yeah, and even like Norrington, and just like as Kate said, so many of the roles are just really, really well cast to make this movie entertaining. And then we all said it already. Like from the first time they get to the Isla de Muerte to the second time they get to Isla de Muerte, that whole section could have used a little bit of tightening up, but it wasn't.
I would argue keep the scene of them when they go back on the island. That scene worked for me, where it's her and Jack on the island.
Oh yeah. That scene worked. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, somehow tighten that all up. I don't know exactly what you would cut there. I mean, it's not
the cannon battle between the two boats went too long.
Yeah,
that really went too long.
Yeah, but as I said, I just would cut it down a little bit. And I don't know. This is a fun movie. It's very rewatchable, and there's not much. I said the biggest curse to it is that there's none of the sequels are great. I'm sorry. Kate.
No.
You don't like any of them?
I really like. We should
What's
probably
your-
get into this, but I don't know if we should get into it in this section, or do we want to talk
go
about the
for it.
sequels at all?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
Speaking of curses, so yeah, we might as well.
I actually really like the second one.
Yeah.
Dead Man's Chest. I love the ending of it. I love the fight they have on the wheel with Norrington,
Okay.
Will and Jack. The third one is way too long, way too long, and too many double crosses. And I like some of the weirdness in it, but it's way too long. The fourth one's just kind of blah, and then the fifth one was a little better, but still not great. So I wish the third one was better. I could, because I said I think this, I do
Holy
like the
cow.
second one. I do like the second
third
one.
one was
quite a bit.
170 minutes.
Yeah,
Third
it's
one was almost 3 hours
way too.
long.
It's way too long.
The
Way
only
too
thing
long.
that I didn't particularly like in the sequels is I felt like they really tried to push the romance between Keira Knightley and Johnny Depp. And while I don't look at these as like a romance movie, I look at them as action movies, and that just felt very forced in the sequels. But other than that, I thought there have definitely been worse sequels than this.
So you talked about Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom was 26 when they filmed this, so he was 10 years older than her.
Wow.
Johnny Depp is 24 years older than Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
That
He
is
looks
part of
good for his age.
Well,
He did, but yeah, the parts with him trying to hit on her were always, to me, rather creepy, and that
creepy and
That's-
gross. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
Yeah,
they,
I'm glad I didn't know that at the time.
that's fair. Okay. So we have the Pirates of the Caribbean. We can argue, I think we were all in agreement that Pirates of the Caribbean as a right adaptation of a movie worked.
Yes.
This, we have had one Haunted Mansion movie that was horrid,
Mhm.
the Eddie Murphy version. We have one coming out here in a month that is going a little bit different direction. It's not going the comedy, it's going more the actual frightening Haunted Mansion. So, and we're apparently, I think the Scarlett Johansson Tower of Terror project is back on, last I heard. But
There was already a Tower of Terror movie.
and it
Yeah, that was
terrible.
actually really good.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Oh, I thought it was great.
You're misremembering, Kate.
Misremembering.
Oh, I
It
thought it
was-
was great,
It
but
would've
I
been it was straight to video and it was horrible.
right,
Or
but it was
straight to
also
video.
probably geared toward my
Right.
generation.
I think when you're, how old were you? Like 14 or something like that?
What year did it come out?
So anyway, the question I have is not rides based on movies, but are there any rides at Disney World left that you could convert into a good movie? And Kate, I'm going to start with you on that one.
Well, I was gonna show up and be like, the movie that I would want to see is Tower of Terror, but they made it in '97, so I was 9. Which is probably why I thought it was a good movie. And it had Kirsten Dunst in it, and I
It
liked
did.
her.
And Steve Gutenberg.
And Steve Gutenberg. Who doesn't love Steve Gutenberg? I think that they could do. There could be an interesting ride, possibly made to Space Mountain, or a movie. I mean, maybe. But so many of the movies, like Splash, had a movie that no one's allowed to watch anymore for good reason. Everything
That's a ride based on a movie.
That's
though.
a ride based on a movie.
Oh, so we need so we're wanting the ride to come first,
A
and then
ride
the
that
movie
right now has no movie attached
copy.
to
Got
it.
it.
Which there aren't many of.
There's some. There's
I
one.
would say
Yeah.
Expedition Everest
Okay. I could see that.
could
Yeah.
be one.
Yeah.
Expedition Everest could be one. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take any more. Pete, what about you?
I would kind of want to see, I think there could be an interesting Big Thunder Mountain movie, like a Western. based
Ooh,
on Big Thunder. I mean, you could have like a
Western.
train robbery or something to incorporate the railroad into it, but I don't know. I feel like you could make you could incorporate that into it. Again, none of them have enough of a story to fill out an entire movie, but like the basis for it, that's one I think I could like.
could see that.
I could see
see
something
that,
coming out of it that could be entertaining.
especially if you use the backstory with it was a,
The
it was
road,
a
yeah.
mother lode that then
Right.
the earthquake closed it completely up and like destroyed everyone who was in the area. Yeah. So if you go, especially the backstory that they have basically put along to go with the actual ride, could work for a movie. I would agree on that. Steve?
Pete took mine. I was thinking Big Thunder Mountain because,
Sorry.
well, I think you like a great Western. There is a backstory to the ride that they could incorporate stuff there. The other one, if we're thinking about that, possibly Mission Space in Epcot, the Journey to Mars. I don't going off there because I was thinking about Space Mountain, but I don't know what the story would be. I think Big Thunder Mountain would be the better one because there's actually sort of a great backstory, especially if you're reading things along with the queue.
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
Trying to think else. I think Tower Terror, if they went along the lines with the upcoming Haunted Mansion one, more
And made it
the
actual scary.
went more the scarier route. I think that could be pulled off really well.
You clearly weren't 9 years old when you watched Tower of Terror, the original, because that shiz was terrifying.
What about you, Derek?
So Autopia doesn't get enough love, and neither is People Mover, but neither one of those are even close.
What
So
was the first one you said?
Autopia. Think
car-
Indy Speedway, the Tomorrowland Speedway.
Tomorrowland Speedway, yeah.
Oh, got it.
For me, I would agree. I don't remember the last time we had a good Western. Probably Tombstone was the last good true Western. The one with Val Kilmer and that crew was probably the last good. Was No Country for Old Men a Western?
I don't know.
Not really.
That was a really good movie, but I'm going to say no.
Right.
Wasn't the movie True Grit a Western?
Well,
with
yes,
Clint
but
Eastwood?
that was a remake.
Oh,
That
I
was
didn't know it was
that was a remake of
That
a much
was a good
better
movie.
version.
Yeah, that was
Got
a
it.
good movie.
Yeah, watch the John Wayne version, by the way. Such a better movie. But my initial thought was Big Thunder. As I was trying kind of thinking this, I was out walking the dog this afternoon. You could also do something. I know it didn't really work in Jungle Cruise. Potentially either the Grizzly River Run or Kali River Rapids. Some kind of especially the Kali River Rapids with its clear-cutting narrative and destroying the environment could get a little preachy. But the last race, the last Race Down a River movie could work on the Grizzly River Run. Something along those lines could work.
Would you add safaris to that then? Kilimanjaro Safari.
Kilimanjaro Safari. Have you seen Hatari with John Wayne and Red Buttons? It is all about him. They are animal trackers and honestly animal capturers in Africa, because this is back when that's how zoos and circuses got their animals. And it actually includes scenes of them John Wayne is sitting on the front of this truck and this rhino is bashing up against the truck. So to me, it would be hard to be better than that movie. So that's why I didn't include Kilimanjaro Safaris. But I mean, all this goes back to the fact of original ideas that Disney had, or I would even argue the movie industry as a whole, but Disney especially has not come up with any good original ideas lately. Kate?
Yeah, I just thought of two that could be. I've only ever ridden the Matterhorn once. I don't know if there's a story behind the Matterhorn.
It is actually semi-based on a movie called Third Man on the Mountain.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's why he did it, was to promote that movie.
It's not really, yeah.
It's not
And
really,
then
but
the only other one I thought of, I I don't know Disneyland as well as I know World, so most of mine are coming from World. But the dinosaur movie in Animal Kingdom, or the dinosaur ride in Animal Kingdom, you could take that. In my opinion, that could be its own Jurassic Park style.
Yeah, and then anything like that would be seen as trying to copy Jurassic Park. That's the problem.
Oh, 100%.
And so that's the issue I would have with that is no one would see it as, oh, it's another dinosaur movie. It's any dinosaur movie now is, oh, they're just trying to copy Jurassic Park.
100%. But if done well, could be a good movie. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So, okay. As we always do on these movies, we give movies a pixie dust rating out of 5 cups of pixie dust. Kate, for Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of Black Pearl, how many cups of pixie dust?
4.
Okay.
I give this one 4.5.
I give it a 4.
And me today would probably give it a 3.5. Me when I was in college would have probably given this a 4.5. But today, I just watched it this morning, like you did, Steve. To me, it dragged out of my attention enough that I've got to go with 3.5. So, still, it's a good movie, guys. It's a good movie. We all liked it, as you can see by the ratings, and it's a worthwhile watch. Now, this is skipping ahead a little bit to the Disney Plus news, but they are actually re-releasing this in theaters for 2 or 3 weeks, starting Friday. So, would you go see this again in theaters?
Maybe.
No, because I just watched it this morning.
And it's always on Freeform.
I've seen it a lot, so, and it's probably the difference between the 4.5 and the 5. I probably would not know.
Okay, that's fair. All right. The other thing we watched this week was the second episode of Secret Invasion. This is where we find out that all of the Skrulls are actually on Earth, like over 1 million of them. We find out that they are actually in the very high levels of government, including the British Prime Minister, the head of NATO, the Indian Prime Minister. Did we ever find out where the Asian American gentleman was supposed to be representing?
We did not know.
Okay. You've got Shooter McGavin in there as a congressman. So
no, he's a FXN news personality.
Is he a news personality?
Yeah,
you never know. So, but are all Skrulls and have agreed to given control and generalship over to, help me with the name,
Gravik.
And he is very much Nick Fury has broken his promise. Nick Fury has said he would find us another planet to be on, and he hasn't, so we're taking this one. So we've got a scene with War Machine with where basically they say, Nick Fury, you're no longer needed because you've screwed up too bad in Russia with the bombing. And then at the very end, we find out Nick Fury has actually come to Earth multiple times and is married to a Skrull. So, Kate, thoughts on the episode?
Yes. So Gravik and Emilia Clarke's character, that I can't remember her name,
Gaia.
Yes.
Gaia, yes.
Gave me big Carly energy from oh god, Kroger Cat.
Like iCarly?
No, is that Falcon Winter
The Flag Smashers you're talking about?
Yeah, Falcon Winter Soldier, where we get Kroger Cap. They give me big Carly energy, and I was shocked that it really looks like Maria Hill is dead. Spoiler, sorry. I was not convinced that was the real Warhammer. I'm not convinced that wasn't a Skrull. And Casey and I decided like that that's what makes this show so good, is because you don't know who's a Skrull and who's not. I will be interested to see where this goes. This I will agree. You know, Pete messaged us during the week and said this episode's better, and this episode was better than the first one. I rewatched the first one again with Casey, so then we watched the second together. Yeah, I'm surprised Maria Hill is actually dead. We'll see on that. And I don't know where this is going. It's gonna be, I'm curious if this is leading up, if this whole show is just gonna be a filler into the story of Kang. If
No,
it's just gonna be
it's
more
a filler into a parallel story with Secret Wars. Is Avengers Secret Wars here in like 3 or 4 years.
But Secret Wars doesn't have anything to do with Secret Invasion, though. Really,
it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But Pete, you go.
Yeah, I think 2 things this episode did better than the first one. One, it, like, the start of it showed what led up to this, which I think the first episode did a really bad job of that. And, like, you know, I mean, again, all these should be able to stand somewhat on their own. And I thought the first episode didn't really explain what was going on very well. I thought this episode did a better job of that. And then also this episode gave it, like, it felt more like real stakes. I think, I don't know if it was because of the Skrull Council and you saw that the Prime Minister and all these people were actually Skrulls, and you found out there's a million Skrulls on Earth and all these things. It made it feel like there's actually some serious stakes behind what's going on, which I didn't think the first episode did a very good job of, particularly even though they blew up that thing in Russia. It's still not, it isn't great yet. And it's, you know, with 6 episodes, there's not a lot of time to become great. But I definitely, with this episode, it made me more want to watch the next one. So what about you, Steve?
So I watched the first 2 episodes this morning, so I had back to back. Like Kate, it's intriguing because you don't know who's really who with the thing. My concern is if that goes wrong in a bad way, making it too confusing. I'm intrigued so far. I like the sort of the suspense and mystery, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like an average Marvel fan, so I'm not always on top of who's who. But I'm intrigued. It kept me entertaining. I mean, it's sort of slow moving, I feel. So it's something where I'm gonna have to be able to watch when I could sort of be paying attention to pick up on everything that's happening. Derek.
No, it's not sort of slow moving. It's really slow moving. So
I would
talking about whether that was the real Rhodey or not. Have you guys heard the android theory of MCU? That if the person in the MCU is using an Android phone, they're a bad guy. If they're using an Apple phone, they're a good guy.
That's a thing.
Like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the gal the blonde who ended up being the arms seller was on an Android phone the whole time. So and there's been a couple other instances where that if they're on an Android, they're the bad guy. And that just may be looking at, going into too much minutia, but so far it's played out and he was using an Android phone. So
I didn't notice that. The bad thing about a type of show like that, and the way TV shows have gotten so twisty in the last 20 years, I kind of expect everybody to be a Skrull. You're like, I don't know how they're going to surprise me unless they make Nick Fury a Skrull. And I feel like he's the one that I don't know how you would pull that off and make the show make any sense at all. And I don't think so. That Skrull that he's married to, she was also in that first scene when they're like meeting all the
she was
Skrulls.
the one that introduced Gravik to him, wasn't
right,
she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's known her for a long time. I think it was in Winter Soldier that
It was in
Fury
Winter Soldier, yeah, where
mentions
he
his
said,
wife.
"I didn't know you were married." Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, I mean, this has been telegraphed back in 24 in Winter Soldier. Captain says, didn't know you were married, and everyone thought it was a joke, and it wasn't. It's
right.
apparently he has been married.
Do you think he knows that she's a Skrull?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's kind of hard to keep under wraps.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're living with someone, that's kind of hard to keep under wraps.
Well, but by the fact that the character, I mean, her voice was the same as the Skrull at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like he I think he
Well,
knew her as a Skrull first.
And did you notice in the first scene, she's actually got an engagement ring on?
Oh, I didn't notice that. No.
Yeah, so she's actually got an engagement ring. So even at that point, there's some discussion out there that he wooed her basically not long after Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did not appreciate the fight scene in the butchery, just because I am not one for blood and flying everywhere.
Woo! It was wild.
Yeah. That was not something I enjoyed, which, yes, I know means I would really not enjoy The Punisher.
Yeah, don't. Don't.
But
Don't do it.
I don't know. We're a third of the way into this, and I just don't care at the moment. Like, there's no character. I haven't attached to Nick Fury. I haven't attached to the daughter, Gaia. I haven't attached to anybody. I don't care who wins this battle realistically. Obviously the Skrulls are going to lose. Obviously, at some point the Skrulls are going to lose. I want to know why he's not pulling in. Now, he said something about, if I pull in the Avengers, then all of a sudden they'll be able to copy them. So you have to be in contact with someone in order for them to copy them. Have we seen any of that so far?
I don't know. It wasn't a great excuse to me. But the thing is, they can't copy their powers, but that's the scientific thing that was going on.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, like,
with Groot
it had Groot, it had Frost Giants, extremis soldiers, which was the Iron Man 3 soldiers. Right. So they're basically trying to, like, make super Skrulls, which is what they were called in the comics. But yeah, so it's not like if one of them touched the Hulk that they'd be able to Hulk, so.
Didn't we do this in The Mandalorian, where, like, we saw that they want to try and get Grogu's powers, so they're cloning? We saw that. I mean, anyway. So,
Derek, I feel like part of the reason, because I'm kind of a little bit with you in that I'm not attached to anybody, but I think part of the reason I'm not attached to anybody is because I don't know who to trust. I don't know who's real and who's not. I know Nick Fury is real, or for the most part he is, but Maria Hill died thinking Nick Fury shot her. So for me, I think that's part of the reason why I'm not really attached to anyone, is because I don't trust anyone.
Okay. Do you guys think there's anything with the fact that he doesn't have the eye patch on?
I thought that was weird too, that he doesn't have the eye patch on. As far
as, wouldn't the real Nick Fury, he never takes off that eye patch. Unless they're doing that to show that, that shows how he's not really the Nick Fury of old. Where, like, going into the last episode, the last thing you see on episode 5 is him throwing that eye patch on and say, okay, let's do this. Or something like that. But it's just the eye patch is throwing me off a little bit. But
but the way that he has his eye and the way that he was looking, it almost looked like he had, like, a mechanic in his eye, like that his eye had been replaced by some sort of a device.
And see, to me, it just looked more like a marled eye that like had been damaged, and he's really blind out of.
But if it was a Skrull, wouldn't they be more likely to have an eye patch because they'd want to look like him?
Who knows?
Solid point.
Well, bring that up. Originally, that's what I thought when I didn't see the eye patch. Once you realized people could be scrolls, is he a scroll? And then at the end of episode 1, you see 2. So now it makes me think, is that a mislead and we still have a scroll impersonating?
Is he always well? Okay, when are we going to get Martin Freeman's character back into this at all? Or although he never really was officially in this because it was actually in disguise, but
well, that's a question that will need to be answered. Was that the actual, like, has he been replaced for a long time, or did they just replace him for that one to get that information or whatever? I do want to say one thing that I am enjoying, though, when you mentioned the butcher shop or whatever. Olivia Colman so far is the best thing about this show, in my opinion.
100%.
Oh, she's awesome.
speaking of scenery tours,
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, but she's doing it in a way that's more she's definitely true in scenery, but it's like more level.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's so far the highlight of the show, I would say.
Agreed.
I would totally agree with that. So, okay, Kate, what have we got for the Disney Plus news this week?
Yes, Disney Plus news. So, first up, Disney has released a Hamilton sing-along version on Disney Plus.
Which isn't that called Hamilton?
But isn't that also just subtitles?
Essentially on Hamilton, yes. Except it has like they're bigger words. It's bigger print.
Usually for a sing-along, they like light up the
little
words as it goes.
I feel like that's gonna be hard on a song like anytime
Guns and Ships.
Guns and Ships, when it's just I'm taking those hooks that rain, like it's so fast. That's gonna be funny to watch. I may have to take a video of myself watching that because that might be funny. Anyway,
maybe it's just me, but I don't think I've ever I'll sing songs in the car. I've never watched a movie. I shouldn't say that. I went and saw Grease on one of its re-releases to theaters, and everybody in the theater was singing along, but it wasn't a sing-along. But other than that, I don't sit at home and sing along to movies myself.
No, I don't really either. I don't really either.
No.
All right.
In the car, yes, but not.
Yeah. Also, Hamilton, it just came out, was one of the first or the first or something Broadway show to hit diamond platinum, to have the album hit like super diamond platinum something. They just announced that not very long ago.
Cool.
I don't remember. But yeah.
And
anyway,
actually, while you were talking, I actually just pulled it up, and it's big text. It's bigger text than the subtitles, and it lights up in yellow as they say it.
Aha. Got it. So next up, the movie Crater, which debuted on the service 7 weeks ago, has been removed from the service. This seems to be another write-off of a movie whose budget was $53.4 million. So
I get why they're trying to write it off, because Disney Plus division is hemorrhaging money. But it had a McKenna Grace in it. I did not. Pete, you watched that, didn't you?
No, I never did. I did kind of want to see it. The trailer intrigued me, but I don't know what I'm more flabbergasted by, that they spent $50 million on that movie.
So much CGI because it was on the moon.
I know, but still,
you're gonna no.
It was on the moon. Where's Ed when I need him, man?
Or I don't know, you just, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, because I guess that's a mid-budget movie nowadays and type of thing you could put to Disney Plus, but things like that just get so lost in today's streaming environment. And I don't know how you, without putting some backing behind it, get people to watch it. And I don't know what the solution is for them, but it's a shame that all the people that worked on it, and something like this can happen, that it's just going to disappear forever or whatever. you know, because a lot of things, even if they're maybe not initially popular, sometimes they get life after, you know, later.
Yes.
I
It's
mean,
a Wonderful Life. The movie was a flop when it first came out.
yeah, I mean, we talk about Clue. That was a bomb in theaters, and it's a movie that almost everybody loves now.
Yep.
You know, and it admittedly, you know, so just, I don't know. I mean, it might have been hot garbage. I don't know. I didn't see it, but I just always think it's a shame that this type of thing is happening to anything, that it just that they can just make it vanish. So, you know,
Yeah. Agreed. And last but certainly not least, in celebration of its 100th anniversary, Disney is re-releasing several of its biggest films, including the movie we saw tonight, starting July 7th.
Yeah. So that's why I said this comes out this Friday. They're out for about 3 weeks. The others they're going to be doing are Toy Story, Frozen, the original Beauty and the Beast, Incredibles, Coco, Lion King, and Moana. So they're all since 1990, but
So wait, is Pirates the only live action?
Yeah, sounds
Yes.
like it.
yes.
Wow.
Think about how many of their now. A couple other things about Pirates that I was sure to throw in earlier. This was the first Disney Pictures PG-13 movie.
There are no other great live action movies that Disney has put out.
Tell me one.
It's not a remake.
Since
You
1990,
mean ever?
one.
Well, think about it though. We're celebrating 100 years.
Uh-huh.
And
Do you
the
realize how much
best
of
that
that
they can
1950s
do.
and 60s was okay. You could have done Mary Poppins, but
Mary
no one would go
Poppins.
see Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Not
And
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
No. It's not that great of a movie.
I think people would have gone to see Mary Poppins. I would have gone to see Mary Poppins in theaters.
I would go see it before I'd go see see Coco.
Agreed.
But
Wow, that seems strange to me that
so
is
many
the
of those
only
1950s and 60s live action movies were nothing but a hot mess. I mean,
and some of them are problematic now.
show me the Shaggy DA. Tell me that would make money, or the absent-minded professor. I mean, everyone's.
Well,
I mean, it's just
what about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
no. Have you watched that lately?
No.
Yeah, don't.
But I mean, I think part of the problem would be that some of those quote unquote iconic Disney movies that came out of that time are now problematic. Think Swiss Family Robinson.
Think
Peter Pan. Like, because see, that's what, of all of the movies you named, you're going to show Coco over Dumbo?
Oh, yeah.
Like, but I'm talking about, like, you're going to show Dumbo, you're going to show Coco over Cinderella? Cinderella wasn't in that
Cinderella would have been okay.
or over Snow White. Like, I understand.
Over Snow White.
I understand that some things are problematic, but we're talking, if you're going to celebrate 100 years of Disney and you're going to show Frozen and Coco, don't get me wrong, Frozen and Coco, great movies.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
If we're talking
Yes,
100 years of
Yeah, they are.
Disney, and the best you can do is to start at essentially 1990, I just have a hard time swallowing that.
I totally agree. I think if Disney's really going to do this, Snow White should have been first up. Then you jump to like Cinderella. Then you show Mary Poppins. Then you show, honestly, then you skip ahead to Beauty and the Beast.
Read the list again, Derek.
Okay, Pirates.
Yeah.
Toy Story.
That one's a good one.
Frozen.
Whatever.
Original Beauty and the Beast.
That's fair.
Incredibles.
I wouldn't have put that on there.
That's a great movie, though.
And I love The Incredibles. The Incredibles is my second favorite Pixar movie.
One is the first Incredibles is a great movie.
It's a great movie, but I don't know if I would put it in the top 100. Anyway, keep going, Derek.
People will watch it. People will watch it.
Right. This isn't about the best movies. This is about movies that people will actually pay to go to see, because it still costs them some amount of money to put these movies into theaters.
Yes.
So they're not gonna put the Shaggy DA or Herbie Goes Bananas
or Herbie Love Bug
or Snow White even, because no one would actually go see Snow White. Old Yeller, wow. Then you've got Coco.
So that's why I would argue maybe Mary Poppins, because I think if you put that back in theaters, I think because what this is more about is parents wanting to take their kids to see the movie on the big screen. It isn't because the kids want to go see it, because the kids can see it anytime, but it's the parents saying, "Oh, this is Incredibles is in the theaters. Let's go see that."
So many of these are visually stunning.
Lion King was on that list too, right?
Yes, Lion King, Moana, because I mean, let's face it, every little girl sings How Far I'll Go. So
but Aladdin was not on the list?
No. And see, I don't have a problem with that. Because on Aladdin, so many of the cultural references that the genie makes
are dated,
so outdated right now. So
he makes 55 references, the genie does, or transformations.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't agree with it. Now, are there any of those that you guys will go see?
I would go see Mary Poppins.
No, but that's not on the list.
I know.
So I'm going to complain that they didn't put Who Framed Roger Rabbit out, because that I might have gone to see, even though we just watched it. But
out of that list, probably Coco or Toy Story. Those are the ones I'd probably.
I might go see Toy Story depending on the schedule. I might go see Lion King.
Yeah. I would also probably see The Incredibles, because that's a great movie.
And that's a movie that on the big screen is amazing, just because of all that was about the first time they got people right.
Yeah. I also went and saw Toy Story 2 when Toy Story 2 came out. I saw that in theaters, I think 5 times.
Yeah, if my daughter wasn't in Florida, we would go see Incredibles, I think. I don't know that I would just go, my wife and I, to be honest.
That's fair. Okay. Next week, we are going to be watching the series, The Imagineering Story. It basically it's all about the development of the parks, starting with Disneyland through Shanghai's the latest.
Yes.
So, 6 episodes, I believe.
I think that's right.
6 episodes are all about an hour each, but we've all had plenty of time. And guys, spoiler alert, it's really good.
It is really good.
If you're a Disney Parks fan, it is really good. So
yeah, I still have to rewatch, but yeah, it came out very close to when Disney Plus first came out.
Yeah,
I watched it toward the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah. So that's what we're watching next week. Guys, if you have any suggestions, please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. We've got some gaps coming up in August where there's not much coming out. So we need to know, especially if you guys have any diamonds in the rough, please let us know. Please let us know of shows on there that aren't the normal great ones. Okay. Yes, Kate, Sword in the Stone is coming.
No, but now I'm sitting here going, oh my God, they're not going to show Robin Hood. They're not going to show Sword in the Stone. Like, there's so many great movies that are pre-1990. Sorry.
But those aren't going to drive people to go to the movie theater.
I know.
When Pirates comes out next week, it may be #1 at the box office.
I know. I'm still mad about it.
Toy Story and Beauty and the Beast, like couple of these might come in, especially if
they're going to do really well.
September. Yeah.
There's so many great movies. Anyway,
guys, we've got some gaps in August and September. Not much is coming out. Let us know if you've got shows you want us to watch. We have new episodes every Thursday on YouTube and all major podcasting services. For Kate, Pete, and Steve, we will see everyone next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews, as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.